Hi guys, it's Whisper Audios, and today I thought I would do part 2 to my favourite films, as a lot of you commented on that video ages and ages and ages ago, and you said that you wanted me to show you a couple more of my favourite films for the DVD wall behind me. So I thought I would do that. Now, in that first video, the DVDs that I showed you, or the films that I showed you, DVDs are so old-fashioned now, but I'm such an avid collector, so I don't download anything. I actually just buy the physical DVD when it comes out on DVD, when it's released to the general public from the cinema. So the first video that I did, and I'll link it down in the description if you haven't watched it, I showed you my absolute all-time favourite films. So this one won't be absolute favourites, but I guess it would be like new favourites or films that I have seen recently. So first of all, before we get started, I will show you my t-shirt, because I know you can't see it, because everybody loved my t-shirt, my Willie t-shirt in my last one. I wanted to wear something geeky in this video too, but you can't see it because I'm just ahead. So here it is. It's Jurassic Park. Yeah, I actually I got this in Primark. It's not like a genuine kind of t-shirt, but I really like it, and it's my kind of like casual, cozy kind of t-shirt that I wear when I'm just like around the house and stuff, because it's really like, it's like an oversized t-shirt and I really like it, and it's so like 80s because it has like the roll-up sleeves and everything. It's so super cool. So let's get started. So the films that I have here are films that I have watched recently, or are new favourites, or films of special mention. There's a wild card in here, which some of you can probably see, but these are a couple of films that I'd like to tell you about today. The first one is this one, What We Do in the Shadows, and I think this one has actually made it to my top films. It's definitely up there for sure. So basically this film is about this group of vampires here, and it's like a mockumentary. So like a mock documentary. You know what mockumentary means. And it follows the life of these four vampires and this dude on the end here. So it's 5 vampires, but he's the new one. It basically follows their life and what they get up to as vampires, and the film crew just follows their everyday doings, and it is so hilariously funny. Like, I'm thinking about bits now and it's really just making me laugh, and it's a proper cult film, so very memorable, quotable parts in it, and very memorable characters as well. This is Peter, and he's my favourite one. he's so scary but so lovable yet at the same time, and it's just so amazing. I won't ruin it for you, but there's a group of vampires and there's a group of werewolves as well, and I think they're making the spin-off, like the second one, called We Are Wolves, and it's set in New Zealand. So if you say we are wolves in a New Zealand accent, it sounds like you're saying werewolves. So I thought that was very funny. So each little character has their little interview, and funny things happen. So I can't remember everybody's name, so I do, just forgive me. I know this is Peter because he's my favourite, and that's Nick because he's annoying. So this guy here, he's like the male chauvinist. I think his name's Vlad. Is that his name? Vlad the Poker. I think think that's what his name is. Guys who've seen this, I think you know what I mean. So he's like the male chauvinist, like the proper ancient vampire who has all like the harem of women and all of that. And this guy here, he's like the fop. He's like, everything has to be neat and tidy and dandy, and he tries to like round up the rest of the unruly gang. He's like really funny. And this guy, he's like the lazy kind of Renaissance kind of vampire who just doesn't give a shit about anything. And Peter, he's the oldest vampire who lives down in the basement. They kind of have to like feed him like like animals now and then. And this is Nick. This is like the new vampire that's made. So yeah, it's set modern day, and it's just really cool. I'll read you on the back what it says. Viego, Deacon, and Vladislav. Ah, right. I think that's Viego. Deacon is him, and Vladislav is him. Yeah, I was right. Are 3 vampires living together and struggling to cope with modern life. From doing housework to trying to get into nightclubs, they're perfectly normal, except for their immortality, fangs, and thirst for human blood. When their 8,000-year-old housemate Peter, that's him, turns 20-something Nick into a vampire, that's that dude, the guys must guide him through his newfound eternal life. In return, they are forced to learn a thing or two about modern life. So it's really good. It's so funny. Just check it out for sure. So the next 2 are 2 films by David Cronenberg, and they are Naked Lunch and Videodrome. And I have come to really respect and really love David Cronenberg's work. I had only just recently watched The Fly, and it was brilliant and I loved it. And these 2 videos were 2 recommendations from friends, and although these two films, Naked Lunch and Videodrome, I wouldn't say that they are my favourite films, but I have a morbid fascination with them. Like, I don't necessarily understand them, especially Naked Lunch. I think that David Cronenberg has such a vivid imagination and a vivid way of storytelling that is so captivating and so entrancing. I kind of feel that his aesthetic and the way that he does certain things along his, all the films that he made is very prominent, and I really like it. So if we start with Naked Lunch first. So this is the weirdest freaking film I have ever seen in my whole entire life. I kind of understand it. If I can explain it in one sentence, I would just say like the worst trip you've ever had, like the worst LSD trip you've ever had. Like, there's some serious weird things going along in here, and especially like throughout David Cronenberg's work, there's a lot of sexual elements to it, so very weird, fetishy sexual elements. And although I don't necessarily like those films and that kind of subject, it is done in such a weird, blasé, weird way that it doesn't feel wrong. In a sense, it just feels like you're watching some poor, deranged lunatic's mind. That's pretty much what I would say. So Naked Lunch, who knows what this film is about, but I really like it because it's so weird. It's so weird, and I watched it properly all the way through, and I just came out thinking, am I stoned or am I just watching a really weird film? So I couldn't tell you what it was about. I mean, really, it's about this guy, I don't even know his name, this guy who is a writer, and he's trying to write. Is he a writer? No, he's not a writer. He's writing something in the thing. He's an exterminator, and he's addicted to the bug powder that he uses at work. Then this weird person, or this weird bug thing, I think he's a person, I don't know, comes along and tells him that he's on a mission. He has to, he's like a spy or something. I'm so sorry for people who actually understand it, but he's like a spy, and he has to go and take down this organization, and then he has to like type up some reports, and there's some people against him. Okay, so I'm not selling the film very well, but I can't help but watch it because it's so fascinating, and there's a lot of themes of like suppressed homosexuality and repressed desires and sexuality and stuff like that, and I think it's done so tastefully, and the practical effects in this film are amazing. So all of the creatures and the monsters and weirdness is all practical effects, and I love that. So like you have these really super strange characters who kind of like come to life and metamorphosize and change into different things, and it's all practical, so no CG obviously, because this film was made back in the day. So yeah, it's weird, it's really, really weird. So I just read you what it says on the back, as it might prove a little bit of research into it, I guess. So an inspired synthesis of William S. Burroughs' celebrated cult novel, so this was a book, and elements of the writer's biography, David Cronenberg's Naked Lunch is a visceral viewing experience, now on DVD for the first time. As you might expect from the director of Videodrome, which I have here, Crash and The Fly, I haven't seen Crash, but I've seen The Fly, the film weaves an inventive fantasy concerning the creative process, centering on writer William Lee, which is RoboCop's Peter Weller, addicted to the bug poison which he earns a living as an exterminator. A party routine ends in the death of his wife Joan, who is played by Judy Davis, and forces Lee to flee the Interzone, an imaginatively demented version of Tangier, where his latent subconscious begins to assume control. With a menacing score from longtime Cronenberg collaborator and Oscar winner for Lord of the Rings, Howard Shore, brilliantly performed by Weller Davis and Roy Schneider, as the far from sane Dr. Benway, and littered with moments that are as horrific and absurd as anything in Cronenberg's filmography. Naked Lunch has assumed its rightful status alongside Burroughs' novel as a counter-culture classic. So, if you like freaking weird films which don't make a lot of sense, but it has that cult aspect to it, and you can like deduce your own meanings from the messages in this film, then you're gonna like this. Weird. Don't watch while stoned, or maybe watch while stoned, because then it might make sense to you. Who knows? So, Cronenberg film number 2, we have Videodrome, and again, weird as hell, although this one makes a lot more sense. It has a more linear storyline. So again, it has lots of underlying elements of sex and repressed sexual desires. So basically this guy here, who's played by what's his name, James Woods. So if any of you have seen Hercules, the animated Disney film, he's the voice of Hades. That's the only other one I know him in. So this is basically about this guy here. I can't remember his character name. I only watched this like 2 weeks ago. So he is a executive at a TV channel which specializes in pornography. So he's always looking for the new hottest porn film. So when he hacks into like different signals, like satellite signals, and his friend and him pick up a signal for this like snuff film, which is basically a film of this woman being tortured. So he's like, wow, this is great, I'm going to use this for my channel, I'm going to try and find the source of it. So he does, and it sends him kind of crazy. So he watches it, and then he starts to hallucinate and see things that aren't really there. So he's like, oh my god, this film is dangerous and I want to find out more about it, because he becomes obsessed with it. So there's a lot of themes of like monarch programming and brainwashing and mind control, because the Videodrome video kind of takes over your mind through signals through the TV, and there's this like whole evil cult behind it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of themes of that, and there's a lot of themes of like sexuality exploited in the media, and how sex is used to exploit people and hook them and make them under your control. So I'll read you the little bit at the back. Sci-fi horror filmmaker David Cronenberg, Diabolical Invader is a television show that seduces and controls its viewers, featuring rock star Deborah Harry, this is her first major film, as a kinky hostess, James Woods as a cable programmer looking for the ultimate in viewing thrills, and special makeup effects by Oscar winner Rick Baker. Videodrome is a pulsating science fiction nightmare about a world where a video can control and alter human life. So again, all the elements in this, or the effects, are practical. For instance, this little arm that comes out of the TV, like latexy, it's all practical effects, and that's really inspiring for me. I don't know about you guys, but if anything is so blatantly CG when it could be practical effects, it just puts me off like you would not believe, because there is an art to practical effects and making it real, even though sometimes it can look a little bit cheesy, but there's something about it, it's just magical for me. So Videodrome, it's definitely better in my opinion than Naked Lunch, because you actually, there's character arcs and character development, and you know, there's a little bit of a twist, and you can actually follow along with it pretty well. So Videodrome's pretty good. So a film that I have watched recently, and you're going to be like, I can't believe you haven't seen that yet, but I watched it because I'm watching Bates Motel at the moment, which is brilliant, so you can probably guess what it is, and that is Psycho. And I have never seen Psycho. Obviously I know about the shower scene, like I know about that, but I've never watched it, so I don't really know what it's about. So I started watching Bates Motel on Netflix about, a couple of months ago, and I was like, I kind of think I need to see Psycho to appreciate this TV program. And I won't go on about Bates, but it's amazing. It's so amazing. Like, Freddie Highmore as Norman Bates is perfect casting. He's sublime. Go and check out Bates Motel. So Psycho. I love Psycho so much. I watched it, and for an old film, I was thoroughly hooked throughout. And I, like, the ending, I literally sat on the sofa and I was like, oh my god, like, the reaction that I had from this film was one that I would have for a normal modern day film. So this really thoroughly impressed me, because I had no idea what was coming. I obviously knew that this woman gets killed in the shower, because that's obvious, that's what Psycho's all about. So I'll just read the back, and then I'll continue to just say how I felt about it. So Alfred Hitchcock's landmark masterpiece of macabre, I can't say that word, macabre, stars Anthony Perkins as the troubled Norman Bates. Anthony Perkins is amazing, I think he's so cute, whose old dark house and adjoining motel are not the place to spend a quiet evening. No one knows that better than Marion Crane, who is played by Janet Leigh, the ill-fated traveller whose journey ends in the notorious shower scene. First a private detective, then Marian's sister searches for her. The horror and the suspense amount to a terrifying climax where the mysterious killer is finally revealed. It took 7 days to shoot the shower scene, 70 camera setups for the 45 seconds of this now famous footage, and not an actual bare breast or plunging knife is to be found in the final cut, just the illusion through montage. That's amazing. So Alfred Hitchcock wanted this film to be classy and to be not gratuitous in any way, so you don't actually see the knife and you don't actually see any nakedness either. And also another interesting fact about this film is that it was shot in black and white of a time when you could have shot in colour. So Alfred Hitchcock wanted to shoot in black and white because he felt that if he shot in colour, the blood would be too much for his audience. So that's why he shot in black and white, so the blood would appear black. So on set, they didn't actually have to use real fake blood, if that makes sense. They didn't have to use fake blood, they just used black blood, which was cheaper to make. I think that fact is right, it's just something I've heard. So he just wanted to keep it really classy and timeless, I guess. And I think this is the perfect example of storytelling in its own right. So storytelling and filmmaking which take risks. Our main character, we see her from the beginning, and then, you know, tragically she's killed, and we're like, whoa, you just killed off our main character. What, you can't do that. And loads of people, when this was first screened, walked out and they were like, rubbish, diabolical, you can't kill off your main character, how stupid is that, you ruined your film. But Hitchcock was a very, very clever guy, and he's one of the best filmmakers out there. One of the best filmmakers out there. Oh, he still is. And I think this is just all of his films. Alfred Hitchcock is just the king of suspense, the king of thrills, and, you know, the king of twists as well. So Psycho is one of my favourites so far. So the last film is a wild card. This film is not my favourite film at all. It is probably the worst film I have ever seen in my whole entire life, but it deserves a special mention because it is truly a cult film, and it's one of the films that is so awful you can't help but like it. And that is The Room. I don't know why have I got this on DVD, why, but this film is the worst film in history. The acting is poor. It's more than poor. My cat could act better than these guys in here. The script is diabolical. The camera work is horrendous. The storyline is just dreadful, and everything about it is so awful. It makes it brilliant. It's almost like it was done on purpose. And James Franco, Dave Franco, and a couple of others are actually making a kind of homage to this film. I can't remember what it's called, but because it's so bad, everybody loves it. It's kind of like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where it's played at cinemas and people quote and act out bits of the film. There's some cracking one-liners in this. So basically, I'm not even going to bother reading the back, but this guy Tommy Wiseau, or Wiseau, I can't pronounce his name, he wrote, directed and produced this self-proclaimed film. He is incredibly eccentric, and he's just the weirdest guy. Like there's a documentary at the back, and it's wow, it's even worse than the film. it's so badly edited and dubbed. It's unbelievable. So this guy wrote, directed and produced it, and the storyline basically is this guy here is engaged to a girl called Lisa. So he's Johnny and that's Lisa, and they have a friend called Mark, and she like sleeps with Mark and he's heartbroken, and then that's it. Like, I'm gonna ruin the end for you because it's just so rubbish. And then he's like, oh, I'm so distraught, oh why Lisa, why? And then he kills himself, and it's just like, is that it? Like, and this film is so long, like it's like 2 hours long, I think. An hour and 40 minutes, and that is how long you have to sit through, and it's so painful. Like, me, my fiance and my sister-in-law, we sat and watched it, and we were like, okay, this film is gonna be like wrapped up in a minute, like, and we pressed to see how long we had, and it was like we were only an hour in and we had like 40 minutes to go, and we were like, are you serious? So memorable quotes in this, and people who have seen this and have the same opinion as me, please let's like start a comment thing, because that would be amazing. There's so many one-liners. Like, okay, I gotta tell you something, I definitely have breast cancer. Shut up, you're not my freaking mother. And oh, Lisa, you're so sexy. He's got this like the weirdest accent ever, which just makes it even more weird and even more hilarious. What about I've got so many. Anyway, guys, I won't do the impressions too much because there's just so many, but let's start the comments in it, if people who've seen it. So, special mention, The Room, worst film of all time, but you can't help but watch it and find it funny. Well, that's it. Let me know in the comments if you have watched some of these films and what you thought about them. I would love to know your opinions about it, about them, and maybe include some like memorable quotes from the films as well. That might be quite fun for people to get involved in. I'm also sorry that this video probably wasn't very relaxing. Like I said before in my other video, I kind of get really animated and really like intense and excitable when I'm talking about things that I love, and especially films as well, because I have a passion for film. So I kind of go off on a tangent and get very, very loud. So I kind of forget that I'm trying to make an ASMR video for relaxation. It hasn't been relaxing, has it? I'm sorry. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Please feel free to leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video if you wish. And I will see you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye.